We're all set, Roy? Any declarations of conflict of interest? Seeing none. Approval of the agenda?
Here.
Approved by Councillor Cloud, a second by Councillor Yankoff. Approval of minutes of August 24th. Councillor Trio and... What? It's not here.
Can you say that again, please?
It's not here.
Okay.
Was there any business arising from the minutes of August 24th? Seeing none? Discussions. Mr. Long, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just gonna get my book here.
We're not normally this efficient.
Yeah.
It is from now on.
Things continue to roll along in our area. Obviously, like everyone, it's a different world, but we roll with it day in and day out. From a prospecting and bidding perspective with respect to events, attraction missions remain within the Atlantic bubble, obviously, and are ongoing. We continue to update our master calendar, which the committee receives on a regular basis with the status updates. And we're now working on bidding as far out as 2025. So we work about 4 to 5 years out, depending on what's happening in the national landscape. There's been, believe it or not, there's been a number of events that continue to happen, that continue to move in various ways. I don't want to go through the entire list, but I'll go through a few of them just to give you an example of some of the things that continued. The Canadian Premier Soccer League continues on. It wraps up this week. It's been a great coup for Charlottetown and the province. $17 million in economic impact, $5 million in direct, and $12 million associated with destination exposure with that particular event. We've had in the Open recently, the Island Drive-In Festival. Andrews Hockey hosted a two-line hockey tournament. Charlottetown Race Week, Fringe Festival, Pride PEI, Setting in the Sun Concert Series, the Guilds Festival, Old Home Week Racing, etc. Most recently, we had the Mayor's Cup, which raised $32,000 for autism. We hosted the Event Atlantic Board meeting. Councillor Ramsey participated in a couple of activities associated with that as well. And then, of course, there's been a number of civic events, which Laura will touch on here in a minute. Coming up in the next few weeks, you'll see some things happening around the city. Sunflowers going around the downtown is a sign of fall. We usually do that in conjunction with fall flavors, but the full event can't happen, as everyone knows. There's another event that Discover Charlottetown is working on, which I'll speak to in the next portion of our meeting. The Charlottetown Film Festival is up and coming. The Trailside Music Hall. The Guild Festival continues to roll on, and then Oktober Feast is being hosted at the PEI Brewing Company into the fall. We continue to work on recovery strategies. Both Laurel and I are heavily involved in the Sport Tourism Canada National Recovery Task Force. The report should come later this month. We're involved with festivals and major events Canada with respect to recovery, who's working closely with the federal government, working closely with Event Atlantic, who has a proposal into ACOA for recovery funding, which will allow some work to be conducted over the next couple of years. And then most recently, we've met with Tourism PEI at their request. Tourism PEI is looking towards a vision for the fall and winter. We all know sporting events play a key role in the shoulder tourism season here, and we need to ensure in some way that we try to maintain those. It may not be in their existing capacity. Maybe there's no path forward, but we need to explore all options, as they're very important to the industry, to accommodation providers and restaurants and downtown retail, etc. Number of projects in the hopper. I won't go into great detail, but just rhyme some of them off quickly. Canada Games, as most people around the table know, we're heavily involved with discussions there. The Sir John A. statue, Sierra Planning and Management's implementation plan, the most recent report. Working with Eastlink Centre with respect to Upsell Stadium and the Charlottetown Islanders, where it's a platform that you potentially would order concessions to your seat, especially during the times of COVID. it's also meant for everyday use too, not just COVID, but it just kind of aligns. Sitting on a number of boards, board work continues, whether it's Eastlink Center, Bellland Center, meetings, conventions, PEI, SURF, etc. We're now moving into our discussions around Christmas celebrations, what that might look like, what we're permitted, having discussions with the CPHO at the province, trying to determine a path forward, and Laurel will speak to the parade in a moment. Our Quebec Garden will soon be unveiled with respect to its new location in Quebec City. The committee's been updated on that in the past, but just keeping you in the loop generally. So that's a quick kind of overview with respect to the event management area.
Excellent work.
Busy.
Very busy. Any questions?
Just a couple things, Wayne. Thank you for your report. In depth as always. Very active. The Art in the Open, as we all know, there was changes made because of COVID, but nonetheless, I think they persevered, and full marks go to the organizers.
Yeah.
To Art in the Open. It's a great event, and we have a segment of our society that, as you know, are maybe not into sports or other endeavors, but really look forward to Art in the Open. It's their event, and they embrace it, they cherish it, they, in some cases, they even take an ownership of it. So I tried to observe as much as I could during the event. One of the things that really caught my eye was when they set up in the government parking lot.
The movie.
The movie. And I thought, I thought, what a great idea. What a great idea. And to my mind, that inspired me to think about, is there other movies or sporting events that we could showcase on that big screen? And I wouldn't call it like a tailgate series, but something to bring the community together, respecting COVID at the same time. But what I'd like to recommend, Mr. Chair, and I hope the committee supports it, I think because we're in a very unique time with the Stanley Cup playoffs just around the corner, maybe, we might take it for granted that we have access to televisions and computers, but we have people in our city, unfortunately, don't have big screen TVs and don't have computers to watch the Stanley Cup finals. And I'd like to pursue the same format for the movies that Art in the Open did, and maybe we could showcase the Stanley Cup finals on that big screen, or bring in the 18-wheeler and put it there and set it up. And I don't think it'll cost a lot of money, and I think we might have people that would really turn out and enjoy that, and again, try to get the community involved, and maybe some good ideas can come out of that. I don't know, we could use it as a fundraiser, but maybe just people that really don't have a chance to watch Stanley Cup finals. Sometimes we take that for granted, and I thought it was excellent what they did, Wayne. I really did. I applaud them, and I thought that could be the incentive to do other events, and I'd like to pursue that, Mr. Chair. Can we look at what it would cost to set that up?
Yeah, let's look at the cost and then get back to us, Wayne, and see what it is. And but your social distancing got to add in.
So there's a lot more to it than you actually think. So that particular event down there was a drive-in, so you actually have to sit in your vehicle to watch the event itself. Then when you're publicly broadcasting like that, we need to secure the public broadcast rights through CBC. You just can't go down there and put a video up on a screen, right? So you have to secure those rights.
Sportsnet, Wayne?
Sports CBC, Sportsnet, whoever the rights holder is, that's correct, Councillor. And then, of course, there's logistics to it. The one thing, Laura will give an update in a moment, we hosted Cinema Under the Stars, which was an outdoor viewing behind Confederation Center with a beautiful high-end LED screen. It was a phenomenal picture. But another great platform to do that, but just to make you aware, the cost to do both of those are in the $20,000 to $25,000 range. So staff can explore it, we can come back to the committee with a proposal and give you a bit of an update. The key to all of this, though, is approval by the provincial health medical officer. So we have to then take that and send it to them. Bear in mind that they're 2 to 3 weeks behind in application process.
Yeah.
So we can certainly do it. I like the idea, but there's got to be a cost to it and an approval process.
And even I wasn't thinking so much cars. I guess what I was thinking, Wayne, was, maybe people could bring their, chairs with them, lawn chairs, and I'd certainly be willing to help out. If you want me to put up barricades or whatever, or help people to their area where they can sit and watch the game, and maybe we can even have people, because it's a parking lot, maybe people can bring their own barbecues and really make it like a real community event and bring people together. I think people would look forward to something like that. It'd be new, it'd be inspirational. I think people have a lot of fun with it. And I thought it was a great idea what they did, and I said, now what can we do to parallel what they did?
Yeah, it's a neat idea. You just can't take a bunch of chairs in there and sit them though either, right?
No.
There's very limitations. So Cinema Under the Stars, we were only allowed 100 people per night.
Yes.
And the space out, we had to activate the plan that happened at Confederation Center. So in short, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm trying to say there's a lot of things that need to be considered from start to finish. Let us come back, let us prepare the document and bring it back to the committee.
That's fair.
Thank you.
That's fair.
Maybe Terry, maybe we can even get the Lions Club involved. Maybe there might be an opportunity. Service groups or whoever would like to, help out. What I'd like to do, Mr. Chair, to be honest with you, I'd like to move away. It just seems like over the last 2 or 3 months, a lot of the issues we deal with is corporate, and I want to get away from the corporate, and I want to move towards community, and that's where I'm going. So
Okay, let's
So we'll
research all that.
prepare a proposal.
Yeah,
bring it
prepare
back
something
to the committee.
as Wayne
And we will
says.
be doing this quite quickly.
Yes.
Because of timelines and because the Stanley Cup final starts in a quick duration.
because what happens tonight, as you know.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I'll
Okay.
look to Laurel.
Well, I think the writing's on the wall for tonight, Councillor.
Well, I don't want to say it because we hurt feelings.
Okay, let's move on with the foolishness. At least we're still playing. Laurel,
Oh, dirty.
would you like to go ahead, Laurel?
I would love to, thank you.
Thank you very much. Tourism?
So as Wayne mentioned, I am pleased to say that we were able to hold our summer civic events as we normally would. We didn't have to cancel anything due to COVID. We obviously did have to change the format of those events in order to meet restrictions that are currently in place. But with Natal Day, we ended up engaging a number of local artists to do chalk art in the downtown, some of which is still hanging around depending on where you look. We haven't had a ton of rain. We also engaged council to do the giveaways, which I think went really well. And then the mayor's office also ran the Citizen Recognition Awards, and we did morning yoga in the park, which was also really well received by the community. Victoria Park Sunset Series, which the last few years has consisted of movies and music in Victoria Park, logistically wasn't able to happen, but we were able to transition, as Wayne mentioned, to Cinema Under the Stars, which we did in partnership with Confederation Center of the Arts over in their outdoor amphitheater. We brought in a large LED screen, and we were able to screen 8 movies over 6 nights. So it was free to attend. You just had to request a complimentary ticket to make sure that we stayed under the attendance threshold, but very well received by the community, and happy that we were able to offer those to residents. As Wayne also mentioned, we're now shifting our focus in terms of civic events to our Christmas activities. So the Christmas parade will be One of the bigger ones that tourism will handle will also deal with New Year's Eve celebrations at the same time with the CPHO. As some of you may have seen, the City of Moncton announced what their Christmas parade plans are. They're doing a reverse parade at the Coliseum parking lot, so they'll have a limited number of entries. The floats will stay stationary, and they'll have a plan where tourists can come in their vehicles and they drive around and look at the floats versus the floats going by them. Obviously, it will be smaller in scale than it has been in previous years. I will note that that would not be our preference locally. If anyone's attended the Moncton Parade, the scale of the Moncton Parade versus the Charlottetown Parade is very different. The scale of the floats and the entries that go into that parade are much more significant than we would typically see in Charlottetown, so it is a bit more conducive to having those stationary floats. We are going to do our best to try to put together some type of plan to make it happen, but that will be obviously at the direction of the CPHO is how we will proceed, so we'll see where the conversations go in the next few weeks. We also have a call into Halifax to see what their plan is, as those are the two largest ones in the region, so that will form part of our discussions locally. As everyone knows, Canada Day virtually was a huge success, so I've been asked to deliver a webinar for Event Atlantic just after Thanksgiving on transitioning events during COVID. So that's going to take place on October 14th. Our VIC has now officially closed for the season, although Charlotte is still downstairs and is able to help any visitors that may come in looking for information. In terms of numbers, I think that we all know that they were significantly lower than we would traditionally see. During July and August of this year, we had 109 visitor parties that our staff downstairs served versus 2,128 during the same time period last year. So it's about a 95% reduction. So it really does speak to the impact that COVID is having on tourism locally. I know some areas of the island are still doing okay, but Charlottetown has been hit pretty hard, so keep that in mind as you are visiting businesses during fall and winter months. They're going to need our support. Since Ron has retired, I have taken over the arts and culture file, so for the last few weeks, I've been meeting with some of the bigger players on the art scene locally. So I've had discussions with Creative PEI. We've had a meeting with the Confederation Center of the Arts that Councillor Duffy joined as the liaison to the board. And we're working with the Confederation Center of the Arts on a memorandum of agreement. So we'll be coming together again later this month to discuss that a bit more. Steve Bellamy, the CEO at Confed Center, will also be coming in later this month. We're just working on a date to present to this committee on the center and the center's role in the community, their economic impact, their strategy, their vision and plan moving forward, and some of their programming direction. So Jill will confirm that date once it's set. The Arts Advisory Board also falls under that, so I've attended my first Arts Advisory Board meeting. As everyone will remember, back during the winter months leading into the start of COVID, the Arts Advisory Board did a call for public art ideas under Imagine Charlottetown. So they have received quite a few submissions, which one member of the board is currently compiling into a catalog that's easier to kind of see what they have access to. The board will, through the fall months and leading into the end of the year, be going through those and identifying a number of projects that they would like to see rolled out over the next 3 to 5 years. Once they identify the projects, they're going to try to predetermine some locations, tie a budget to those, and then they do plan to come forward with a bit of a plan and a budget request during the city's regular budget process. But it's definitely, there's some exciting projects to look into, so it should be a good process. On the cruise front, not much of an update. Everything's still in a holding pattern as the federal government restrictions are still in place. On the positive side, though, the berth expansion work is nearing completion, so it'll be nice to see that cleared out of the waterfront, and then hopefully in the not too distant future to see cruise ships actually berthed at that new expansion. Tourism Industry Association of PEI, their annual conference is coming up next month, so they'll be operating a bit of a hybrid model. So it will be available online. There'll be limited in-person seats as well. So I will circulate that information to the committee when we receive it in the event that anyone wants to register. Something we haven't had a chance to discuss yet at the committee level, but that took place back in late June. The Charlottetown Airport has rebranded to YYG Charlottetown Airport. Obviously, we know it's a tough time for the airport. There's been a drastic reduction in passenger air traffic coming in and going out. In speaking with management at the airport, though, they are confident that travel will return. It's just a waiting game at this point to see how COVID plays out. So we're hopeful that the news will continue to be positive in the coming months out of the airport. As Wayne has already alluded to, both myself and Charlotte in some cases have been working extensively on the Sport Tourism Recovery Plan with Sport Tourism Canada as well as the Tourism PEI plan. Charlotte and I are also in the final stages of finishing the update to the SCORE website, which will now reside as a microsite under Discover Charlottetown, so that all of the visitor information is available at the same time, but the branding will continue to remain City of Charlottetown branding and will link directly from our site as well. In terms of municipal partnerships, we are supposed to be in Japan now with our group of students. We have been back and forth with them, just continuing to stay in communication, and we will eventually find a time where it's safe to take that trip, but both parties identified that now is not the time to be traveling internationally. And really, Charlotte and I have we've been making ourselves available just because of COVID and the cancellation of the Gold Cup Parade and some other things. We've had a bit more time to help out with some things we maybe normally wouldn't have. So we've spent a lot of time working with Wayne on keeping track of rescheduling events and what's going on, and we've also had the opportunity to get more involved in a few events through the mayor's office. So Make Our Hometown Beautiful. Charlotte was really involved in helping to plan out how that was going to roll out this year, and our staff were instrumental in the judging of that event. And then for the Mayor's Cup, we were all quite heavily involved this year, which is unusual for our area, but I will say props to Charlotte. She led the research and the generation of the online platform where the auction transitioned to, since we weren't able to have the silent or live auction, which is a huge part of the fundraising for the day. And our staff also led registrations and sponsorship for the event. So a little bit outside of her wheelhouse, but definitely was highly successful. So we're making it work.
Excellent. Great job.
Great
Any
report.
questions?
Yeah,
Councillor Twill.
thank you. Thank you for the report, Laura. One of the things that has come to the forefront is the market, the Sunday market that we have, and some of the challenges and difficulties that they've had over the last few weeks. I know some of the vendors would like to extend the market. One of the challenges, of course, is the weather, inclement weather. And a recommendation that came from one of the vendors was, would there be a possibility to extend the market into the Confederation Center? And could contact be made with Chief Administrative Officer with the Confederation Center and see if that possibility exists? And could we have some dialogue with the Chief Administrative Officer? And I mean, if you look at some of the space that's in the Confederation Center, there might be an opportunity to have the farmers market continue in the Confederation Center on a Sunday. And who knows what this will do? I mean, it could go right into November, even longer. You know, the vendors are committed, and there's some kind of a I don't know if it's a memorandum of understanding or some type of an agreement with the Confederation Center, but it could create something that's new and innovative, considering you know, some of the difficulties that they have, and it could extend the season for a lot of these vendors. So I wanted to bring that to the table and to see if we could pursue that. That's one recommendation I wanted to bring to the committee's table.
So the market itself, I'll answer, and then it is actually Wayne's file, so he can
I'm
weigh
sorry,
in.
I didn't know.
I know, the lines are very blurred most of the time because we've kind of all been working together. From the Confederation Center's perspective, obviously I can't speak for them, but I know that they're open for business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
As Wayne had mentioned with the NHL playoffs, one of the things, obviously the COVID restrictions on how many people can be in the building at any given time
I understand.
are going to be a challenge. The other thing that may potentially pose a challenge to something like that happening would be they are about to undertake a renovation to their foyer lobby area,
Yep.
which may impact the ability to have people kind of free-flowing through the building.
I bring it up. I'm not sure when they're going to start their renovations, and even if the market was extended for maybe 3-4 weeks, I think it'd be a big help. And who knows if this could lay the groundwork for further involvement for the market on a Sunday.
So in the-
Are you aware?
So they have
if
expanded. They've extended into October an additional 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
the market.
Yeah.
Market.
Yeah.
Are you
So-
aware if the individual that was making comments about expanding it, have they made those comments to downtown Charlottetown who runs the market?
I think there was, I think the onus was put kind of, and maybe my information is wrong, the onus was kind of put back on the vendors to contact the center. So I said, look, I'll as opposed to me, I could have called the chief administrative officer, but I wanted to do it formally here first, and get your thoughts, and in future years, we would have the market out during the summer. And then when you move into the fall, you get in October, it's a pretty rugged month. Yesterday or Sunday, some of the vendors left early because it was really windy.
Yeah.
It was extremely windy. So the weather, the weather does play a factor and might discourage some of them vendors from setting up shop. So here you have the Confederation Center basically sitting there empty, and with the Confederation Center, who knows, it could spill into other venues. It's just a thought. I thought it was a good idea.
It's a good thought. Wayne, why don't you sort of research that and get back to us?
We'll pass it on to Discover. The market is Discover Charlottetown.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry, downtown Charlottetown.
Downtown Charlottetown.
So we'll have a discussion with them. It's their market.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll have a discussion with them and make them aware of this situation.
Yeah.
They have extended the market outdoors, but as the councillor indicated, October can be a challenging.
You're right.
It's
You're
terrible.
right.
It's a terrible
Yeah.
month.
A challenging a month for sure. As you may all have read in the media, the Charlottetown Farmers Market is just barely getting to move back indoors
Yes.
now, and they're trying to sort their way through. So there would be some public health things that need to be
Restrictions.
considered there as well. But
Yeah.
we'll take the information.
So, Mr. Chair,
okay.
also at the same time, because there is the tunnel that goes from the Confed to the mall complex, they have 3 floors of hallways and stairs and
That's right.
lots of space.
That's right.
I think if we're going to go down that road, we may want to engage them. It gives more space and more people can go. And I think that can go all winter long if they want, because it is there to be done. But you have to have
That's a
that
good idea.
conversation.
Okay, let's research that.
So just to follow up what Peter said, that's a good suggestion. Wayne, before you talk to downtown business, could you just make that call first to the chief administrative officer
Yep.
over at the
Yep.
Trade Center?
Yep.
And then, of course, the management with,
John Cudmore.
yes.
Yes, that's right.
John would be open.
Yep.
Yep.
And, this could be,
That's right.
this could be a great thing leading right into Christmas.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
Okay, that's a good idea. Wayne, you'll be spearheading this?
Yeah, just
Excellent.
one other point I want to bring up, Kevin.
Yes, your worship.
Thank you.
Councilor.
Thank you, my friend. Laurel, back a few weeks ago, I just mentioned to you briefly about, the floating dock and with the expansion that we did. And one of the incentives for adding the extra piece to the outside and expand the footprint was I wanted to encourage people from the arts community. The arts community, whether it be photography, whether it be artists, people in the film industry, music industry, whatever the case may be. And I'd like to, again, in a formal setting or some kind of an advertisement, I'd like to reach out to those different communities. Like I said, the arts community, whether it be film, photography, artists want to paint or sketch, and encourage them to go down to the dock and to do some of their craft, to do some of their craft right there.
So I did, after that conversation, I did have a conversation with Frank Quinn, as the floating dock does fall to Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
He indicated that that's not something that he is recommending pursuing at this particular point in time.
Why?
That conversation you'll have to have.
Okay, let's bring that up at Parks and Recreation Friday.
Well,
No, really, because
yeah,
it's
I don't
a
want
part-
Mr. Kelly, could you please contact Mr. Quinn? I would like to pursue that. I had no idea that nobody informed me. Somewhere along the line, we got to start improving communications around here, okay? So I came to you because that comes under your mandate.
Yes, that's right.
Well, and I told you that I would go
Yeah.
to him, and
Yeah.
I asked him about it last night, and he said that he had reviewed it. It's not something he's interested in pursuing at this time. They have other projects that they're working on, and he indicated that he
Okay, we'll discuss that
speak
Friday.
with you about it, so.
Well,
Okay. Terry, you okay?
or
I'm
Mr.
okay, keep going.
Peter? Thank you, Laura.
2020 Diverse City Festival Final Report. Who's that, Wayne?
Yeah. Mr. Chair, it's just the circulation of the final report from Diverse City, information sharing, no
Okay.
decision of the committee required.
Excellent.
When you have an opportunity,
Yep. Let's go through it.
it's for your viewing.
Excellent. Tree Appreciation Campaign.
That's me.
That's Laura.
Okay, so this one is, proposed by Environment and Sustainability, so it's been reviewed at that committee already. The reason that it's coming here is because there's an art component to it, which the chair of the Arts Advisory Board has confirmed that it does need to be reviewed by that committee. So the Coles Notes version of it is that the sustainability officer was looking for a unique way to kind of promote awareness and importance of the trees in the city and to celebrate our urban forest as well as support the local arts community at the same time. So she has proposed a tree appreciation campaign which will run for a few weeks in October, where they would engage 5 local artists to either display art inspired by trees or do art projects directly related to the trees themselves on 5 downtown trees. And then they would also be doing a tour of trees and talking about the importance of them and various other aspects. So normally this would go to the Arts Advisory Board first. Because of the time frame of the project and trying to keep them on schedule with their timeline, we are asking today for a conditional endorsement of the project, and it will be conditional on the Arts Advisory Board also being supportive of it when they meet on September 29th. The artwork itself is currently scheduled to be installed during the first week of October, so if we were to wait another cycle for our meeting, they probably wouldn't pursue the project. Terry, I don't know if you want to add anything about what was discussed at your committee meeting, but my understanding is that it was well received.
Yeah, it was well received. There was questions as to, this is something that we could bring forward to every community, just like the first year, of course, and we're trying to get this done, that the downtown core would be the fastest way and the easiest way to get something off the ground. But if it's successful, and which I'm sure it will be, we'll be looking to expand this to the other parts of the city, because there's beautiful trees and canopies all over the city, right? So So we'd like to move it around in the years to come, but yeah, so I think it's anytime we can promote our trees and you know, just have them displayed as what the purpose of what they do is a really good thing, and I hope we support it.
So their budget is 7,500.
Their budget
Yeah, it all comes
is
out of-
already been approved.
It's all coming out of
All from out of ours.
environmental, so they just want our rubber stamp.
Well, it's, you know, the
Basically.
Arts Advisory is
Yes.
part of this committee.
Yes,
so
it is,
it's important
yeah.
that it gets its blessing, right?
Yeah.
Anyone have any issues with that?
I just have a question.
Councilor Yankoff, go ahead.
And maybe it falls under environment and sustainability. I don't know who can answer this. How do you go about choosing the 5 island artists? Is it a call for submission, or
That's our,
how do you go about choosing the 5 island artists? Is it a call for submission?
I think so, yes, as far as I understand,
Right.
to see what interest there is, and then once they realize that there is some money there, that it's, you know, they don't have to do it at their own
Yeah.
expense. Yeah.
Yeah. And my only other thing is, I think the honorariums are really low.
What's that, Lynn?
I think the honorariums are really low
Mm.
for artists, but that's probably a bias of mine, but underpaid and
Yeah.
serving
Yeah.
artists.
And that's under environmental, so.
Yeah.
And I think
that's right.
that part of that, my understanding is that a lot of the artwork, it's not new artwork that's being commissioned, it's existing projects. So this photo, for example, this is confirmed to be one of the exhibits, but
Oh,
these already
okay.
exist. So
Oh,
they're like
nice.
knit root systems.
Oh, okay.
So that may go back to part of the honorarium, is
Sure.
that they're
Right.
either exhibiting art that already exists, or just giving them a new platform
Cool.
to tie it in.
Nice,
I don't believe that it's necessarily like,
sure.
it's more curation than
Nice.
new projects.
I think it's a beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
idea.
We all in favor of
Yeah, absolutely.
approving that? Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
perfect. So I'll update the committee when
Yeah.
the Arts Advisory Board meets on the 29th, just so you know if it's going forward.
Okay, the next one,
You need a motion still, though.
Yeah, you-
okay,
You need a motion.
A
make
motion
a
to
motion.
approve the tree appreciation campaign.
moved by Councilor Yankoff, second by
Initially, yeah.
And I'll second it.
by Councilor McLeod,
Okay,
that we approve. Fair?
lovely.
Thank you. Okay, next one, Councilor Yankoff got to leave.
I'm wondering, can we,
You come fetch me when you.
We will, we'll send the dogs out for you.
I'm wondering, should we go into a closed session for this?
No.
We go to closed session for this?
This is for the poster? project?
Yes, for
Yes.
the poster project with the Guild.
If
The
you feel,
minutes have already
if
been in the public council package from Arts Advisory Board.
They are,
Yeah,
okay.
I agree, I know what you're saying, yeah.
if there's an issue you want to raise in closed session, you can, and then come back out and deal with it. But if you believe it's a matter of,
Well, I think it's a pretty sensitive thing, and if it maybe, I'm not saying we can't discuss it openly, but,
is there an issue you want to raise? Is that the intent? If
yes.
it is, then you should move into closed session then.
We all in agreement with that, moving to closed session for
I'll
this?
make a motion to move into closed.
Okay.
Okay. Motion to move to closed section per section 119(1) subsection E of the PI Municipal Government Act, moved by Councilor McLeod, seconded by Councilor Twill. Thank you.